Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more Bloodsword. Now I'm picking up exactly where I left off last night, but I will recap the last little section for you. I've made our little battlefield here and it is rather small. I presume this obstacle is a rocky outcropping. And then we have the snow around the shores of the Great Lake. And of course, Gristun the Guardian Beast, which is intent on preventing our entry into the castle. We can attempt to slay this mighty monster with his 60 endurance points, or flee on past him if we can get to this edge over here. And Ariadne has prepared the spell of immediate deliverance to teleport us all to the exit. The Palace of Eternal Dusk now stands ahead of you. A brooding grey edifice of heavy arches and squat towers built on an island in the middle of a lake. 3 huge covered bridges, doubtless honeycombed with chambers and corridors, stretch out from the central keep across the gelid water. Gelid? I wonder what that means. It's not a word I'm overly familiar with. Each bridge is entered by a gate on the lake shore. You know before you reach them that these are the gates of confusion, carnage, and fear. Why do we know this? Because the seer told us that is what the gates are called. A roar cracks the ground beneath your feet. Shambling from behind a crag comes a giant beast, a thing that walks on its hind legs like a man. Each scaly plate armouring its body is the size of a knight's shield. Each hard, horny claw as thick as a spear's shaft. Where it places its feet, the snow melts, and the scant grass is left withered and scorched. It is Gristun, the guardian beast, that patrols the ways into the Warlock King's fortress, and battle is joined. So I think it's high time we got on to round 1, don't you? It's Remy's turn. He will actually... Oh, yeah. Map. Edit map. Distance per square. 1, not 5. There we go. He will move around the creature a little. Perhaps looking for some kind of weakness. Perhaps sensing that this is a thing best left avoided. And now everyone else goes simultaneously. Ariadne will attempt to cast the spell of immediate deliverance, and Gristun the Guardian Beast will attack. Brother Kern and Sir Alwyn will defend. So how do we do this when it's simultaneous? She just teleport everyone here. So does the beast claw at empty air if we leave? No, I think he still gets his attack. Either we all teleport over here, then he moves over and attacks someone. Or he attacks, then we all teleport. We'll have him attack. Gristun, the Guardian Beast, will attempt to use his claws to cause significant harm to Sir Alwyn the Warrior. Mercifully, he does not do so. Now we'll see if Ariadne can cast her spell. It's a complexity level 2 spell. And she does so. Everyone is teleported to the same square, apparently, which is the exit. So we'll just go like this. Bop, bop, bop. And then at the start of the next round, round 2, we flee. I could have probably included that at the end of the last episode, but I didn't know how long it was going to take her to cast a complexity level 2 spell, and also thought it would be fun to have a bit of a cliffhanger. Right, the spell is cast. Which gate will you take into the palace? The gate of carnage, the gate of confusion, or the gate of fear? Well, we have nothing to fear but fear itself. How would fear be best represented? Would it just be scary things and the player given choices? In which case it would just be down to me to not be scared, right? And I can sort of detach myself and go, well, it's happening to the heroes, it's not really happening to me. Or, oh dear, would it be a series of psychic ability resistance rolls, in which case a couple of our heroes are not particularly well equipped to deal with that? The same applies to the Gate of Confusion. It could be a number of psychic resistance rolls, or it could be choices that could confuse and befuddle the party. The Gate of Carnage, well, that's just damage. Mass onslaught damage. And we have a very effective healer. That is, he's been very effective up until the last couple of episodes. Yeah. If we can handle the damage we receive well enough, we can face some good old-fashioned carnage. Let's do that. Also, this section would offer us an opportunity for a healing roll after the fight with the beast if it had significantly harmed us. The fact that it hasn't done any damage to us means we can risk the carnage. If we had been seriously injured by the creature, we may have reconsidered our decision. The razor-sharp prongs at the bottom of the portcullis of the Gate of Carnage are stained with human blood. Crushed skeletons lie beneath it, their rusty suits of armor punctured by the deadly spikes. You realize that you will have to rush swiftly into the chamber you can see beyond the gate if you want to avoid a similar fate. Your mind is made up when you hear the roar of the guardian beast right behind you. Without further ado, you throw yourself into the room and the portcullis crashes down behind you, barring you from the creature. The beast slavers and spits through the latticework of the portcullis, but you are careful to keep out of range of the acidic gobs. You walk through a shadowy chamber hung about with musty tapestries and littered with crumbling furniture that falls to dust when you touch it. Eventually you reach the entrance of a round chamber with a high vaulted ceiling. Looking in, you see that there are a number of arrow slits set into the wall at head height. A heavy barred door stands on the opposite side of the room. Well, this doesn't look safe at all. I'd imagine Carnage might be like someone smacking us really hard with a two-handed axe, battering down a door to get at us. Instead, many arrows. Do you want to rush through the room and try to open the door, or do you want to try and take your time and search the room first? This is not a safe place. The harm is clearly outside the room waiting to be fired in upon us. It would not be wise to slowly and diligently search the place and get shot to bits. We better rush to the door. Crouching low to avoid arrow shots, you fling yourself towards the door. You have nearly reached it when the floor seems to open up beneath you and you stumble down through a trapdoor. In a multiplayer group, the first two players fall through the trapdoor. If there are only one or two players in the group, no, there are still some players left in the room, so we should head to section 39. And now we have split the party, yet ironically, we could still heal people who've fallen into the pit from above it, because we haven't been declared as separated yet, even though that's just stupid, and we're at full health at the moment until people land. As you stand, looking dumbfounded at the hole in the floor through which your comrades fell, 4 more arrows fly from the slits. Distribute these shots evenly between any players left. Each of the arrows does 1 die of damage, with armor protecting as normal. So, the first 2 players in marching order were Sir Alwyn and Remy. 2 arrows for Ariadne. 5 and 5 is 3 points each, taking her down to 9 endurance. And then 2 for Remy. 4 and 6 is 2 and 4, 6 total, taking him down to 12 points. Okay. You realise that you have no alternative but to throw yourself down the chute in the floor below you. You do so as another volley of arrows flies through the air where you would have been standing, and I think we'll have Brother Kern plummeting Brother Kern make a 1d6 healing roll. 3. He will drop a point to restore a point to... Remy's more likely to be in harm's way at the bottom of this, but let's just restore our party marching order for a moment. There we go. You plummet in total darkness down a nearly vertical shaft. Flashes of naked steel glint in the dim light as you fall, and you feel your robes being torn to shreds by razor-sharp metal blades jutting from the walls. You see a reddish glow at the bottom of the chute, apparently hurtling towards you at great speed as you topple downwards. We could try and break our fall by grabbing onto the walls with the razor-sharp metal blades jutting out of them, or absolutely not do that. Look, we're wearing some thick fur woolen gloves to help us from the cold. They're not going to do that much against these things. So, no. However, as we're falling, I think Brother Kern's going to try another 1-point healing roll. Gets 4 points back. So he'll recuperate 1 of those himself, and then give 2 to Ariadne, and 1 to Remy, to help everyone better brace themselves for the incoming impact. You land heavily on a pail of lice-infested straw. Each player loses 1 die of endurance from the fall, or 1 die -1 if they grabbed hold of the walls. Armour protects players from this damage in the usual way. Right. Sir Alwyn. 3 points. Takes it on the armour. Brother Kern. I don't feel that armour should particularly protect players from the damage. Okay, takes 2 points. Ariadne takes it on the armour, and Remy absolutely does not take it on the armour and takes 4 more points of damage. Okay. You see that you are in a high-ceilinged wooden hall. The timbers are bathed in a smouldering red glow, as if they are on the point of bursting alight. At long tables around the hall, red-bearded warriors with skin tinged the colour of flame sit quaffing mead. At the far end of the hall, the hearth-fire casts a shuddering light upon the huge form of the chieftain. He is more than 2.5 meters tall, and his axe beside him is no shorter. He stands beside a gilded treasure chest, which, though larger than any you have ever seen, is not as broad as his great shoulders. "Ah, head boars!" he bellows in the Mercanian tongue. "Governor of this ging!" His words may be unclear, but his tone cannot be mistaken. He is issuing a challenge to mortal combat. Well, this is the path of Carnage, so we'd better accept, but I think a 2-point healing roll is in order for this section as well. 2 points wasted. Man, I don't know what it is of map tools hating Brother Kern's healing ability these last few episodes, but yeah. Oh well. Look, if a man wants a fight, it would be a shame to disappoint him. The chieftain lifts his axe above his head and utters a gust of battle-crazed laughter. Ah! The other barbarians begin to chant and bang the tables with their huge fists. They are eager to see blood spilled. Your blood. Alright, I better go make a battle map then. See you in a bit. Why did I do that? Oh. Here's our map. Now, the map in the book shows the chief with his back to the wall, but because this looks a bit rubbish, we're going to treat this row of squares as a back wall that cannot be passed through. Additionally, under our custom optional movement rules, Remy can't get there in one turn. We're not going to use quick thinking to get there. And we're not going to use the original rules to just have him arrive. Instead, he'll saunter up, blade sliding into his hand. And it's worth mentioning that Ariadne is going to the fight with Night Howl prepared. A spell we haven't used since Book 1, and in all fairness, most of the foes in Book 1 had pretty good psychic resistance. So we didn't really get to risk it very much. Now, Chief Bors will select a target to swing at with his mighty axe. Top to bottom and left to right, so 1 for Brother Kern, 2 for Sir Alwyn. Goes to the Sage, because he is an evil, evil scum. However, that 9 won't quite make it. It'll like carve a great big gouge in the floor there with his massive two-handed axe. And now Sir Alwyn will get an attack in. He will indeed. Which is a low roller, I'm afraid, so only 3 points after armor. And Chief Bors is a mighty individual. Ariadne will attempt to inflict him with her spell. That is a success, so now he's going to get a psychic resistance roll. That is sadly also a success. I'm not sure it's worth trying again. His armor rating is so low, we might just want to get every attack in possible. So Brother Kern, if you would do the honors. Yeah, maybe we should defend. Remy, get in there and have an attack. That's a hit. Okay, 3 more after armor. Wonderful. We've got him down to 24 endurance points. And now we're going to cycle 1, 2, 3 because it's just easier. And we'll see who he's going to hew at next. Of course, the healer again. That is damage. That is heavy damage, 10. 7 after armor, that is horrific. Right. Guess who's defending for the rest of the encounter? Well, I think we know who's attacking. There we go. Excellent. Okay. Okay, that's a little more respectable, but still looking quite nasty. Ariadne, my dear, could you prepare a new spell? I think we're just going to go straight up sword thrust. Try and get some heavy damage in here while we still can. Remy, attack. That's a miss, isn't it? Yes, it is. Let's see who the muscle-clad brute attacks. It goes for the healer again because he is intent on messing with us. But fortunately, Brother Kern puts up a valiant defense and continues to survive. So Alwyn, if you would attack, please. Damage is required. Okay. And damage is done. 5 more after armor. Okay. Wonderful. Now we'll try for that sword thrust spell. That's actually a success. That's rather good. We really needed something like that. This may be the big turnaround this fight requires. So sword thrust is 3 dice plus 3, right? Yes. Yes, it is. Whatever this is, it will be a significant contribution to the party's effort. So, okay, that's 17 damage. Take away the 1 for armor is 16. That's ended the fight. Wow. Okay. Oof. I think a use of the golden snuff box of Shormiano is in order. We'll start with Remy. Remy loses 6 points of endurance. Ow! So Alwyn gains 1 point of endurance, and he was on full health anyway. Brother Kern gains 6 points of endurance. This is looking good for the party. And Ariadne gains 5 points, putting her back up on full. At which point it looks like the next few sections will be dedicated to Brother Kern healing Remy. Okay, now there was an option to bring him under servile enfrailment. However, these barbarians are crying out for blood. They don't want to see someone surrender. They want to see a fight. If we'd refused the fight, they would have probably all decided to gang up and fight us anyway. Let's see how they take this. You turn from the body, wiping sweat from your eyes in the stifling heat, and stand ready to face the chieftain's thanes. However, instead of attacking you, they roar in approval. One of them gets up and lurches drunkenly over to you, thrusting an ivory drinking horn into your hands before slumping back on his stool. Make a note of the drinking horn if you want to keep it. I think we should. Who has space to carry... Okay, well, look. It's jug of milk. If we leave it here, maybe one of them will drink it a bit when he sobers up. We now have a ivory drinking horn. Excellent stuff. Also, Brother Kern's going to try a 1 point healing roll here. And lose that point. We're off to another fine hit. What is it with the last 3 sessions and terrible healing rolls? Okay. You wrench open the chest standing by the wall. In it you find a battle axe with a gold-bound shaft. Since we have a sage in the party, we may know more. Also, we're going to try for a 1 point healing roll as we open the chest, because... There we go, spends a point, gets 3 back. So he'll keep 1 for himself and give 2 to Remy. Because we might fall down another pit or something and everyone needs to be in good form. Right, 541. With a sharp intake of breath, you recognize that before you lies the fabled axe of Heraklos. You know that it has magical powers, and that these powers will work for only one person until that person dies. You believe that the axe would be most useful in the hands of a warrior. A decision must now be taken about which player is going to pick up the axe. Once this has been made, it's going to be the warrior. So, that will be another weapon. So what we're going to do is Sir Alwyn will hand Bloodgatranka to Remy, and Remy will pass his enchanted sword to Ariadne, who will leave her normal, unenchanted sword here. This raises her fighting prowess to a 7. There we go. Obviously, upon the sage's advice, we had the warrior choose the axe. Also, gonna make a 1-point healing roll at this section, because I can. Spends a point, gets 4 points back. 2 to himself, taking him up to 9 because he has to spend 1. And 2 to Remy, taking him back up to an 8. Things are starting to look a little bit more respectable. Right. Sir Alwyn has taken up the axe. There we go. You immediately sense that you are holding a mighty weapon. It will add 1 to your fighting prowess, though of course if you already had a magical weapon that adds 1 to your fighting prowess, then you cannot fight with it and the axe at the same time. The axe will also add 1 to your damage scores. Right. Of course, Heraklos being 1 away from Heracles, the famous Greek hero. The axe, using it, you can choose the throw option in combat. This is like the shoot option of sages for sages and tricksters, but the axe, when thrown, does 1 die plus 1 damage. It can be thrown up to 3 squares on any battle map, but will immediately return to your hand after you have thrown it, like Mjolnir. Yeah, I might need to... Right, I know what I'll do. I know what I'll do. Better? Better. Fits... it doesn't extend the information panel across the screen too much. The axe will function only for you. If you are killed, the next person to touch it will be its rightful new owner. If this happens, that person must refer to 400 for its new powers. Now, carry on. I could have possibly healed at that section. I won't. I'll heal at this section instead. We are still in 1-point heal territory. I'd like to see Brother Kern in double figures before I go to a 2-point heal. Oh, bugger. Well, this is going to get interesting. How am I going to do this then? As you watch, the glowing red walls of the wooden hall appear to burst suddenly into flame, although you feel no heat from the blaze. On the far wall you see a passage appearing through the wall of fire. You advance down the passage, which soon ends in a bridge that slopes up over a deep chasm. Hundreds of meters below you can hear but not see the crashing torrent that has chiselled out the gorge over thousands of years. The ramp bridge ends in a gate tower on the opposite edge of the chasm. You see 2 halberds floating in the air above the bridge, one on either side of it. At first you are puzzled by this strange sight, then realise that the halberds must be wielded by sylphs, invisible creatures that are almost impossible to defeat in normal combat. Still, you know that there is only one way ahead, and that is forwards. There is room for only one person at the bridge. We could try and shoot an arrow at one of the sylphs. This is probably a bad idea and a waste of an arrow, but we do have arrows, and we might as well try. If we don't want to bother an arrow, we should decide who's trying to follow. We can fire an arrow. Remy's got 5 of them left. Sure. Then again, sylphs are elementals. They'd be made of air, so the arrow would either just pass straight through it, or they'd be like a sort of wind would deflect it. The sylphs are creatures of air and cannot be harmed by weapons shot through the element of air. Cross off an arrow. It glances down into the chasm as if blown by a mighty gale. Now decide which of the following character classes is going to be first to cross the bridge. Hey, at least we got a healing roll, okay? A 1-point heal, because can't really risk gambling more at the moment. Oh, for God's sake, man. We're going to have to clear dice? Might have to clear dice. Okay. A D20 then a D100 or a D100 then a D20 allegedly resets the dice in this program, unless I've forgotten something seriously. Who the hell is going to try and cross this thing? Right. We have invisible monsters, and nobody's in particularly good health. Also, my throat's getting pretty dry, so I should probably get a drink. I'll take a quick break and be back when I've given it some more thought. Alright, I think Remy's got an idea. Let's see what he can come up with. It'll be a bit unorthodox. I mean, I imagine our sage might have some good ideas as well, but they're both a bit wounded, right? And one of them's significantly harder to hit than the other. So Remy strides out onto the bridge. Should he rely on swordsmanship or cunning to overcome the sylphs? Absolutely base cunning. Also, going to throw in a 1-point heal here for obvious reasons. 4. Excellent. Brother Kern spends a point, gets 2 points back. He'll give 1 to himself, 1 to Remy. So yeah, Remy's going to go for cunning and see what cunning plan he can come up with. Ooh, went a little bit too far there, and here we are. You observe that the 2 sylphs follow different tactics. One moves in over the bridge to block your path, attacking with sweeping strokes of its halberd. The other hovers to your left and jabs at you with short linear motions. Since their fighting styles are so rigid, almost pre-programmed, you might be able to get them to hit one another. This will call for some fleetness of foot. Each round, instead of attacking them, you can try to roll awareness or less on 2 dice. If you succeed, the sylphs miss you and strike each other for 1 die plus 3 damage. If you fail, you must determine whether they hit you as normal. Once you are sure of the procedure, we can go to combat. You can, of course, give up this strategy and fight them in the conventional manner if you prefer. Well, let's try for another 1-point healing roll while we're at it, right? Excellent. Brother Kern will, with the 3 points that come back to him, he'll spend 1 himself. Straight up 2 to Remy, I think, since he's the one taking the risk here. Right. I'd better go make a map then, hadn't I? Back a little bit. Here we have Remy on a narrow stone bridge over a deep dark chasm. His companions are waiting behind him for their turn to try and cross, and the two sylphs bearing halberds, meaning him no goodwill. Now, I'm not going to use the initiative window because all the opponents are awareness 8. This is not going to be an easy fight because you cannot see your opponents. You can see their heavy polearms well enough though, and feel them too. You must make fight rolls on 3 dice against these invisible things. That's fine. Remy intends to have them make the fight rolls for him, as long as he can. You cannot advance across the bridge because one of the sylphs blocks your way. Well, what if you kill that one? Does the other one just move into the way automatically? If you retreat and make side same both. Okay, we'll see what we can do. Okay, we will see what we can do. So, round 1. Remy is going to make his first agility check, which he does. So the two sylphs strike one another. This one hits the other one for 7 damage. That's great. If we can keep this up, they may destroy each other. And this one hits the other one for 7 damage. That's brilliant. Round 2. Remy attempts to dodge again. He does! Excellent. This sylph strikes the other one for 7, destroying it. And this sylph strikes the other one for 5. Not quite, destroying it. 2 endurance points remain. At which point we go to the next round. Remy's going to have to attack. And this is where things are going to get difficult, because he's going to have to roll 3 dice. Oh dear. The challenges of an invisible foe. I mean, he can't presume it's human-shaped. And that will hit. For 1d6 plus 1 damage, it's going to be enough. However, the sylph will strike on the same initiative. 2d6 plus 1, because Remy's a hard target, and miss. And Remy's damage is just, because we can, 6 points. Excellent. I think that means it's time to use the golden snuff box of Shormiano, because we can. Okay. Remy will lose 1 endurance point. Oh, after all that. Sir Alwyn will lose. Starting to wish I hadn't done that now. Ariadne will gain 5. She don't need it. And Brother Kern will gain 3 points. Excellent. Ooh. That's not our normal marching order. Let's health-wise, let's go with that. There we go. Excellent. Well, that went rather well. Dark rolling clouds rise up from the chasm depths as you advance towards the gate tower at the other side of the bridge. The bridge gently slopes and you hasten up it towards the gates. Suddenly there is a loud crack and the gates swing open, spilling out a cascade of human skulls and blood which rushes towards you, threatening to wash you off the bridge. Each player must deal with this danger in his or her own way, starting with the first player in the battle order. I should probably make a note of this section. But also a 2-point healing roll. Spends 2, gets back 8 points. Okay, let's think about this. I mean, the sage can levitate. Ariadne can probably teleport. Remy's going to have some kind of trick up his sleeve. Sir Alwyn, not so much. So, we give our 2 back to Brother Kern. Give him a 3rd one. And then 5 points to the warrior, because he's the most likely to be taking the hits. And since the warrior is first, here we go. The tide of carnage rushes down towards you, but you are determined that it will not sweep you aside like a weakling. You crouch, seizing the edge of the bridge with your steel-hard fingers. Just before the torrent hits you, you cover your head with your cloak. You are buffeted by the bones, and the wave of blood is like an ogre's grip trying to pull you from the bridge. You must roll equal to or under your current endurance on 3 dice to stand firm. If you succeed, the torrent passes to leave you standing rock solid on the bridge, but fail the roll, and you are swept to your death. With 18 endurance points, I ain't going to be able to roll higher. 16. Oh, I am so glad of that healing roll. Excellent. Also, I could have made a healing roll on that section, and probably should, to be honest. This wave of blood and bones is very slow, apparently. Yes, let's make a 1-point healing roll. And lose it. Yep, that'll teach me. One of the players in the party has either got past the bloody torrent or been swept to a horrible death in the chasm below. In a multiplayer party, it may now be someone else's turn. This should be determined in the battle order sequence. Next is the Trickster. Okay. You are renowned for both your agility and your quick thinking. Which will save you now, agility or quick thinking? We'll go for quick thinking. Also, a 1-point healing roll, because we can. Hooray! Spend a point, get a point. We'll leave it where it is. So as this cascade of blood and skulls and bones is disgorged down the sloping bridge towards the heroes, Brother Kern is obviously just radiating healing energy. You swiftly analyse the situation and with a flash of inspiration whip off your cloak and loop it around the bottom of the narrow bridge. Grabbing hold of both ends, you swing over the side and hang there as the torrent passes harmlessly overhead. Although you have been spattered by gore, you are otherwise unharmed, and you haul yourself up onto the surface of the bridge. And we'll have a 1-point healing roll, because that was spectacular. Spend a point, get a point. Okay. Right. Oof. Now then. The chief was a heavy hitter, so it would have been nice to have a few more opportunities to heal before, but it is the path of carnage, so constant ongoing damage. Guess what? Someone else has survived. We'll have a 1-point healing roll to celebrate. Spend a point, get 3 points. Guess who needs 2? Yeah, our healer. Because then he will be better equipped to heal his companions. Speaking of which, it's Brother Kern's turn to face the onslaught. So, here we go. Obviously, levitation is the appropriate psionic discipline to use in this situation. You begin to prepare yourself. Will you cancel from your mind all thought of the onrushing torrent, or will you focus your attention on floating over it? No, it doesn't matter. It's already done. I don't need to think about what has already been achieved. I'd rather concentrate on a 1d6 2-point healing roll for the benefit of the party, to be honest. Spend 2 points, get 2 points. Leave them where they are. Could have... No, I won't leave them where they are. I'm concentrating on healing after all. Let's send one of them across to Remy to help him on his road to recovery. And float to section 185. Come on, come on. You blank out all thought of the great tide of blood and bone that is nearly on top of you, caring not whether you live or die. Life and death are both in the mind, which is itself but an illusion. When you open your eyes, you find yourself floating in mid-air and the torrent has already passed under you. You settle back on the surface of a bridge and make a 2-point healing roll while you're doing it. And lose those 2 points. Here we go again. Back on the 1-point healing rolls for a bit, I think. Right. Well, guess what? Someone else has survived the hideous trap. So we'll make a 1-point healing roll to celebrate. Spend a point, get 3 points. Okay, we'll put them all back here. Go back up to 11. The road back to 15 is slow and steady, and it's the Enchantress's turn to see how she survives. How will you avoid the danger? You may either try the spell of immediate deliverance, or use a magic carpet if you have one. Well, we don't have a magic carpet. We saw a magic carpet, but we didn't get it. Immediate deliverance has been a very useful spell this book, so let us absolutely prepare that now. And while we're doing it, we'll also have a 1-point healing roll from the Sage. And he'll lose the point. Wow. Okay. Right. You have 3 rounds in which to call the spell to mind, if you hadn't already, and cast it. Aren't we glad we prepared it already? If you succeed, you teleport to a point on the bridge beyond the torrent of blood and are saved. If you fail, you are swept off the bridge and fall to your doom in the chasm below. Well, we don't want that, do we? So, 3 chances to roll a 8 or less with increasing odds. Talk about pressure. Well, our Sage got to ignore the pressure, so let's try not to let it get to us. There we go. She succeeds first time. Excellent. Didn't need to worry or tense or anything. Although I still feel tense. Oof, that was rough. Okay. Everyone's made it. Well, everyone has survived the wave of gore. And we'll have a 1-point healing roll to celebrate that. And we'll lose that point. At some point, this is going to get repetitive. However, since all surviving players are safe, and all players have survived, we get to turn to another section where we're probably going to make another 1-point healing roll. Just saying. It's going to happen. And we just passed the picture of Augustus de Vanteri on his flying carpet. Excellent. It's not a combat section. We'll have a healing roll. 1 point until I say otherwise. Spends a point, gets 3 points. We'll put 2 points back, taking him back up to 11. It's almost as if he's not allowed to go any higher, just like Spinal Tap. Now, you enter the gatehouse. A number of pallid men and women in dusty finery shuffle around the floor in a mournful dance. Although you can hear no music... I should read that one again. A number of pallid men and women in dusty finery shuffle around the floor in a mournful dance, although you can hear no music. Gradually they notice you, and one by one, they stop dancing. At last you feel all eyes on you as you cross the hall. You look back. The dancers have gone, and now you see just a room festooned with cobwebs in which large grey spiders run frantically to and fro. Somewhere, as if from a great distance, you hear shrieks, whether of mirth or anguish you cannot tell, and a discordant music of jangling bells, pipes, and lyres. You approach a stone door bearing this inscription on its lintel: "Here is thy journey's end. After life's fitful fever, sleep thee well." You push at the door, which opens with a groan. And I feel this is a good point to end the episode. We will see what is beyond this door of death in the very next one. I hope you've all enjoyed this episode, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one, which hopefully won't be as long as this one was. I'll say goodbye for now, though, and cheerio, everyone. See you all soon.